Hi, this is Andrea. I just wanted to make a quick video about choosing a soap mold. When I first started making soap, I basically started with 1 pound batches. When you start with a batch size that's small, you really can use a lot of different things. You don't really have to invest in a, um, a large mold or a more substantial mold in the beginning. So initially, what I was using was I was using either a plastic container, Gladware, this actually is Ziploc, whatever. Just know that whatever ridges or indentations are in the plastic is going to be in your finished soap bar. But when I first started, that didn't matter because I was basically just trying to perfect my soap making and not really worrying so much about the shape of the finished bar. I was more worried about the quality of the finished bar. So I started with that. You could also use a a cardboard box. You can cut it down, cut the flaps off of it, and line it with, you can line it with a plastic bag, or you can line it with freezer paper like you would line a wooden mold. And now this is a pretty big box, so something like this would definitely hold more than 1 pound of soap. I never made soap in this box, so I said there are websites that you can go to where you can put in the dimensions of the box, and it will tell you the amount of the size batch it'll hold. So it'll let you know how much fluid it will hold. What you can also do is, like I said, you can line it with a plastic bag, take some water, and fill it and see how much it will hold. Take that out, weigh it, or however you want to measure it, and that'll tell you how much it'll hold. That's a quick way to do it. Okay. Depending on what kind of mold you're going to use is also going to depend on what kind of soap you're making. Needless to say, if you're making anything where you're going to be using your oven, if you're going to be making CPOP, cold process oven process, you're not going to want to use a plastic container, or you're not going to want to use cardboard. For that, you would use either wood or silicone. Now, when you go to silicone, there are molds like this that actually have the individual cavities, and this makes 6 bars. It can hold, total weight here is about 1.5 pounds of soap, and you pop it out, and I believe each bar would weigh somewhere around 5 ounces, and that's oven. It could be put in the oven. Now the problem I have with using individual molds in an oven is I normally will get some kind of either film or bubbles or something on my finished product. So I really don't use individual molds in the oven. If it's something where I wanted to put my mold into the oven, I would use this loaf or log mold. This is also silicone, and I believe this holds about 2 pounds. And these molds I believe I got from wholesale-supplies.com, but I will put all the information for all of the molds I have. I'll put the information down in the description box. This is a 1 pound mold also that I purchased. This has a lid that fits inside the mold. This, I had a little mishap where I did not line the mold properly, and I had a little bit of leakage. It's still usable because you line the mold every time you use it, so nothing really, even though this kind of the oils are ingrained into the wood, it's not going to transfer to your other soaps because you're going to be lining it with the freezer paper. And this is my most recent 1 pound mold. It has a a foam liner. Has a top that fits on top of it. It has pegs on the side. Come out. This edge comes down and that comes out. And as you can see, I haven't had any problems. I've used it a couple of times. I've only had it a couple of days, and I've already used it a couple of times, and haven't had any problems with leakage or anything like that. I pretty much use my 1 pound molds when I am testing fragrance oils. I did another video about that a couple of months ago, and that's pretty much what I use my 1 pound molds for. But initially, when I first started making soap, I would say for the first month, I was just making a bunch of 1 pound soaps. And then I went to making larger batches, and I needed larger molds. This one is another loaf mold. This is also the same kind of construction with the lid that goes inside. This is already wrapped in, already lined and ready to use. I believe this one is my 3 pound mold. And this is also a log mold, same kind. This has a liner that's kind of like sign material. It's a plastic, like a hard ridged plastic. The person who made this put little ribbons that make it easier for you to pull the soap out. And I just put a little bit of plastic in there just for safe measure, because I felt odd about using this kind of a liner. I've never used this kind of liner before, but I haven't used this mold yet, but so I'll let you know what happens when I use it. There's also, besides the log molds, there's also this kind of mold, which I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it's a tray mold. And as you can see, this has ridges. It came with this blade, and the blade fits, well, if you take the mold, the liner out, the blade fits into the ridges, and it cuts your soap actually inside of the mold. So you would make your soap, take the soap out, take the liner out, put the soap back in the mold, and then take the blade and press down and cut. I will do another video actually showing you how I use this mold. I've used it a couple of times, and like I said, just me, I'm kind of particular about how I want my finished bar to look. Just to give you a kind of comparison, this mold that I showed you before, the 1 pound that with the thing that goes in, with the top that goes inside, makes soap finished bars like this. This one, which is the other one that has the side that comes off, makes bars like this. Now let me show you them side by side. Now you look at it and you think this one's bigger, which is human nature. You always look at something that's bigger as weighing more or being a larger one. But if you look at it this way, this one's thicker. So when you weigh these, they're actually very similar in size. I think this one is probably about 4.5 ounces, whereas this one's 5. But this one isn't fully cured, and this is. So when this fully cures, they're probably going to weigh about the same. But just from eyesight, you'll look at this one and you'll think it's bigger. So it's really just a preference. I like the way this fits in my hand as opposed to this. It's, like I said, personal preference. And this is how I like my finished bars to look. So that's why I am a little bit more partial to the other mold as opposed to the one that makes the smaller finished bars. So that's really it for today. If you have any questions about anything I've shown, please put a comment or send me a personal message. I'll be happy to help you.